Hello, I'm Adrian Knockham, Business Advisor at Cumbria Business Growth Hub. The following is a video filmed by A Day's Walk Farm Shop to showcase some of the 50 to 60 local food and drink producers who make up their suppliers. In my role as Business Advisor, I'm proud to say that I've worked with all but one of the businesses featured in this video. All have been supported by the Growth Hub at different times, taking advantage of free one-to-one business advice, training, and subsidy support. Many began the journey as clients with the Business Startup Support Program, some even before they started trading at all. You too can access expert business advice, including specific food and drink and supply chain support, alongside a wide range of other programs by going to cumbriagrowthhub.co.uk. Many thanks.
Our eyes met across a crowded exhibition floor, and the rest, they say, is history.
We'd always thought about doing this. We've been thinking about this for about the last probably 10 years. Aside from kind of increasingly not getting the rewards we needed from working, it was like, oh God, another day at work. We just thought, do you know what? This would be the ideal time to just give it a go.
The first lockdown came, and we just said, well, is this the time? And it was.
In a brilliant location, never been more perfectly placed to be able to kind of explore food in the way that you can from a place like this.
A Day's Walk was our attempt to start a conversation, really, about what local means. Local is an oft abused term in the days when there was no cars, no motorways, and distances weren't kind of artificially shrunk. Your sphere, your economy was within the circumference of where you could walk, and therefore people tended to operate within that local economy, which was within a day's walk.
That is cassis. Of course it's cassis. We've got Shirley, Benny, this is Gertie, as in hurdy-gurdy. This is Mary, this is Bo, this is Dolly. It all started with the online side of things. So we were doing home deliveries. We're actually doing it out of a small marquee, first of all, in the grounds of the farm here. Then we progressed and took over the farm building. Holker approached us and
said, how are you guys doing? We've seen your van going around. Holker said, we've got this shop. Is there something you could do with that?
It was never in the plan.
So we literally lifted the A Day's Walk delivery concept and put it into a retail environment. That's all we did. I don't think we ever thought it was going to be as popular and successful and supported as it has.
Our recipe is nearly exactly the same from when it was first started, right the way through till modern day.
The shop's been here since 1828. When I was a child, we used to go around with a van delivering groceries. In about the 1970s, the supermarkets started to emerge. They were so cheap, our orders started to decline. We had to think on our feet and do something else. So my uncle, Richard Woodall, him and my dad decided that they were going to extend our pork production.
That's far too lean for the royal family. The royal family like one with a lot of fat around it.
They like it with quite a large amount of fat, which does give it a lot of taste.
The first thing we do before we start making the sausage is get our spices mixed. The meat comes from North Cumbria. We buy quality shoulder pork. We'll break that down into meat and fat, separate them, and then add them back together again to make the mixing more accurate. Then we'll put it into the mincer, mince it on a coarse plate. That keeps the traditional PGI status of the sausage.
The sausage is protected. A traditional Cumberland sausage should always be made in Cumbria. It should be in one continuous length, and it should also be 90% pork.
Then it'll go into a mixer where we'll add our spice, a small amount of rusk and water just to bind it together. Once it's mixed, then we'll put it into our sausage machine, and then we'll make it into what portions the customer wants. It'll either be in one continuous length like the PGI status recommend, or it'll be in portions which each individual shop that we supply specify.
All the baking curing is overseen by my husband, and all the sausage manufacture is overseen by our son Stephen. Natalie and myself are mainly we're in the shop and in the office. The Cumberland hams were on the White Star shipping line, served on the lunch menu.
All the hooks in the side of the old timbers on the roof, the hams that went down on the Titanic would be hung. We do have some very good customers, loyal customers. They're family businesses or just small shops. We're actually very honoured to have the Royal Warrant. For a small village like ours and a small company like ours, we were very honoured to be awarded that and to still have it.
I work as part of a growers cooperative called Vista Veg Limited here in Crosby Ravensworth. We all grow veg on our own holdings, but also here in the field, this 2.5 acre field, and in 5 polytunnels that we have further up the hill. So we grow a range of veg that we send out through our veg box scheme and sell to small retailers. They really love to stock local produce, and they're always keen to get as much produce from us as possible.
We found the recipe buried deep in the archives at Kendal Library. I knew of this recipe that existed. I'd seen it in some old recipe books, and because the slow food movement had approached us to recreate a recipe of importance, I went back to them and said, I know of a perfect recipe that you will be really interested in. The basics were ginger, pepper, fruit, some kind of molasses, treacle or dark sugar. I sent them some samples. Some samples were actually sent to Italy, the home of slow food. It all got verified, it all got approved. It was worthy of forgotten food status. So here at Ginger Bakers, what's really important to us is that recipes are quite unique. We spend a lot of time on development. We don't just take an existing recipe, we would add our twist. Adapt them, change them, make them unique to us. It's fantastic working with Colin from A Day's Walk. What he's doing is absolutely fantastic. He's sourcing really local ingredients and products, things that are really made very local to where he's selling from. We wanted to understand what we did so he can then tell his customers all about the products that he's selling. And that's great. We love those stories and we love connecting with customers like Colin. Spices came into the west coast of Cumbria, they came into the county, they were exchanged for wool. So you will see in Cumbria the Western pepper cake, Cumberland rum nicky, Grasmere gingerbread. Also things like sticky toffee pudding originated here because we have that lovely dark brown sugar. So we have got a wealth of history in our products, our ingredients, and that's represented in the Western pepper cake.
No, if I asked you in quantity, you wouldn't tell me, would you?
No. We've got some great customers who are very loyal to us and we're loyal to them.
I married a local boy from Fluteborough. Me and my mother, we used to sit at the table at home and we used to pick shrimps for local fishermen. It's generations after generations that's worked here.
I know all the fishermen. Some of them do cockling, some of them do mussling, some of them do shrimping. They're all youngish lads because the older generation, they've passed it on. We get 5 kilo butter, then we add the shrimps, which are freshly caught that day. I can't really tell you the ingredients because it's a company secret.
Brown bread and butter, that is the nicest way for me to eat shrimps. That's what I used to eat them like, yeah, they're lovely. Vinegar, salt and pepper, they're beautiful, they're lovely. They're packaged to go wherever they need to go. We supply quite a lot of the country with them. There'll always be shrimps in Bay, won't there? There'll always be shrimps.
I kind of tend to do the early shift.
Yeah.
So I'll get up about 5:30, 20 to 6. And that's to just let chickens out, give the pigs the first feed in the light mornings.
Make sure no sheep have escaped.
Make sure there's no sheep escaped. And then I'll go out and pick up local produce ready to take that into the shop and for deliveries that day.
Just before I go into the shop, I then go up and check on everybody again, basically. Just check that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing before we head off to the shop for the day. But yeah.
We're a bit of a glutton for punishment that way. I mean, we've got turkeys coming in mid-August because we decided to rear our own turkeys for Christmas.
Which is really important to us, where food comes from. I think this is the underpinning of everything. Where food comes from is just really important.
knowing where my food has come from, you know, the fact that it's had such a good life is really important.
We've been working with Colin now for over a year. Lots of our venison produce has been very, very popular within the shop. It fits in excellently with A Day's Walk's ethos, providing locally produced food and produce with a low carbon footprint. Holker is all about quality when it comes to food and food preparation. The cuts that we are using in all of the produce sold through A Day's Walk, and indeed used within our own cafe, the cuts going into the burgers and the sausages are good fillet cuts.
Obviously this is the key, I think, to making better sausages and burgers. This will just get sliced. It just makes it better quality, because, you know, these normally go for like roasting joints. You take the middle bone out and you roll it and tie it up.
The supply of venison to A Day's Walk is part of the estate's overall sustainability plan. All of the venison product comes within a 3-mile radius of the Holker estate. It truly is forest to fork, a completely traceable product. In our household, our absolute favourite products are the venison burger and sausage. We bring them to every single barbecue that we do with friends and family. They're always an absolute smash hit. You don't have to have a venison sausage in a roll. You can just use it in so many different ways. I mean, I eat it on its own, to be honest.
I started making ice cream, having a go in just one of the little kitchen ice cream maker things, and just having to play around in the house. We thought, well, we could use this, but we couldn't. We got RSS Hereford and they brought us some big machinery. We spent 2 days making ice cream. It was a success. I was rather fed up with ice cream by the first 2 days, but no, absolutely love it. And yeah, so ice cream is really, really good for us.
So what's the difference between your ice cream and, for example, factory-made ice cream?
It's all done ourselves. It doesn't go anywhere other than here. It goes from where they're milking up there in the dairy, and I take it straight down in the morning. A lot of people come to us saying, you know, they get this supermarket ice cream, it's absolutely rock hard. You're bending your spoon. You don't get that with ours.
Why is that? Why is it soft and creamy like that?
It's high fat content, really, really creamy. A lot of these supermarket ice creams are used very, very little for cream. They'll use lots of stabilizers, emulsifiers and different things that will just hold it together rather than the cream and fill them full of air, basically. I've just started doing them in the little tubs with spoon and lids. Butter does really, really well. It just goes so quick. And bottled milk, we're now supplying milk to Michelin star restaurants in Cartmel, Longclym and Rogan's. A lot of different pubs and coffee shops. Yeah, we're all over now. We do loads of flavours. We've got vanilla and mint and strawberry, all your normal typical chocolates. And then some of our really, really popular ones that we got some awards for this last couple of weeks is Mars Bow, Cherry Ripple, Raspberry Ripple. We did a lemon trifle sundae for the Jubilee weekend, which was really, really good. We do try and do some like local ice cream flavours. We've done Kintoffee vodka, which do really, really well over Christmas. We did Jamaican rum cake flavour. We've done a Kendal mint cake one at one point, sticky toffee pudding, all them sort of, they really bring, you know, the local in, and it's really good.
People are always surprised at a lot of the things we've got in our shop and the fact that they actually come from Cumbria. When anybody hears farm shop, it's heavily implied that everything is local. In reality, that's very often not the case. A lot of the stuff you come across in farm shops, whilst it's heavily implied that it's local, it very often isn't local, so the model is to fill the gaps. We have over 60 producers now that we work with, and a number of them will be working in an area close to where that gap is. So we are then able to say to that producer, if you just tweak this, maybe if you even worked with this other producer that we know and collaborate, then we can create something where there's a market gap. That's great for us and it's great for you.
The first time that I decided to pick up the jam pan, I'd be about 13, 14 year old. It was with my grandma's traditional blackberry and apple jam recipe with local blackberries from around the shores of Derwent Water, strawberries off the market, and then, you know, come the winter months, do the Seville orange marmalade. And my mum used to serve them in the guest house. I used to fill smaller jars, just sell them to the guests, to people that I didn't even know who'd engaged through social media as well. So I've gone from making it in my mum's kitchen in the guest house to our dedicated kitchen unit, which is in Maryport, just on the west coast of Cumbria. We now supply independent retailers all across Cumbria.
The thing that sparked our interest was your commitment to local produce. We found that actually we get some of our fruit and veg from the same places you do.
It's just great to be able to work with a small independent retailer that shares the same values and ethos about local Cumbrian produce as us.
It's like the Holker scones, Ben. We stocked them in the shop and they're made 20 yards away by you that morning. You can't get more local. You can't get less food miles.
The jam that you've made in our kitchens today, that's going to be used in our scones. We'll actually use that to set the scones.
So you actually use it to mix it into the scone mix?
That's right. Yeah. So it gives it a really unique flavour.
This is what it's all about, isn't it? It's about local producers, independent retailers, getting together and working together to support each other. I don't think there's a county in the country that can do that better than Cumbria.
Take this cake, for example. That's a collab between you and Cakes from the Lakes. Laura's made the cake. It's using your jam. It's a great collab, and that'll be on our menu from next week, which is really good.
So we've got the Lake District Farm Shop at Holker Hall, which we've been running for over a year now, and we've now got the Lake District Farm Shop in Ambleside. We're really looking forward to being able to bring the local produce experience to both visitors and residents more widely in the lakes.
Yeah, so something that's gone from not in the plan at all, has gone to second shop opening, and with big plans, who knows where the third and fourth and fifth shops might be.
We know exactly where, but we're not telling you.